just hit an all-time high and people still aren't ready. I've been warning people on this channel for years, not based on charts or cycles, but on a prophetic word that I received from God 25 years ago. And the collapse that I've been talking about is no longer coming. It's actually begun. So I want to talk to you today about that. But before I get into it, do me a favor. Hit that thumbs up button, that like button, drop me a comment. Let me know that you can see and hear me okay. I'm in a different environment today than I'm used to working in. I'm actually down here in Aruba with my wife. We are here trying to work out some stuff with her citizenship. She wasn't able to get back into the country the last time she tried to enter, and I had to, in order to be with her, I had to leave the country. So we came down here, and we actually spent most of this morning emailing local politicians, trying to get them to help us with her USCIS case. There's a government shutdown right now, and there's supposedly a very long backup of people that are, I guess, also trying to get their citizenship. So sounds like we're in a very long line, and we applied for the K-1 visa, which is the fiance visa, 10 months ago. Now you might be saying, well, wait a second, you just said she was your wife. She is my wife. We got married in the church. We don't feel like we need the state to tell us that we're married to be married. But all that being said, if we want to be legally married, we need to do it the right order, and that means getting the K-1 visa, the fiance visa, before getting married through legally, and not through the state. I'm not suggesting that. I have a alternate route I plan to take. So anyway, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. Today I want to talk to you about this prophetic warning that God gave me 25 years ago. Gold and silver just hitting an all-time high, what that means for the economy, and how you, most importantly, can prepare for what's coming, that most people are going to be caught off guard by. So years ago, I got a prophetic word. This was actually when I met the Lord, and I made several videos about this throughout the years, and actually I'm going to have my video editor splice in all the different times that I've talked about this, all the different times that I've told people about this economic collapse that's coming, and how to prepare for it, but by buying gold and silver. And I want to show the price of gold and silver and the date at each time that I mentioned it, because if you had listened to me when I first started making these videos, you would be up, easily over 100% right now, depending on what you invested in, gold or silver. So, but here's the thing: it's not too late. It's actually, again, it's only just begun. It's only just begun. Is that the Carpenters? Anyway. So yeah, 25 years ago when I met the Lord, up until that moment, I wouldn't say that I was actually a Christian. I wouldn't say I was a follower of God. I didn't know if God was real for sure. I didn't, I wondered about, occasionally I'd wonder if, when I'd see someone praying, if anyone was listening, but I didn't really know God. I never heard his voice. But I had this radical road to Damascus encounter in March of 2000. And part of that experience was I prophesied. I got baptized in the Holy Spirit. I don't know if any of you ever experienced that. I didn't even know what it was at the time. I just knew that I could feel God come over me, like he was, filled me up, and he was communicating with me, and he told me that there was going to be an economic collapse in the United States, and that it was going to cause a global depression. Now, I had some money in the stock market at the time, and I didn't know a whole lot, but I told my uncle about this prophetic word, who's just passed recently. God bless him. Rest in peace, Uncle Gordy. And he said, well, if God, if there's going to be if this is going to happen, he said, you might want to sell your stock, and you might want to put it in some precious metals. At that time, he hadn't told me about gold and silver. He just told me that there was going to be an economic collapse. Actually, I'm not even going to get into that part of the story because it's too complicated. I have to tell you too many things in order to tell you how he told me about gold and silver. But he basically told me to put my money into gold or tell people to put their money into gold and silver. He didn't actually tell me silver. Silver is just so closely connected to gold. I started investing in it over the years. But he told me to put my money in gold. And at the time, gold was $300 an ounce, $302 an ounce to be exact. Now, at the time, I had that $20,000 from the stock market. I bought gold. I bought 66 ounces of 1 ounce American Eagle coins for just under $20,000. Now I sold it since then, so don't anybody come to my house. I had to use it to live off of. Not long after, to be honest, I had to just pay my living expenses. But it was one of the ways that God confirmed to me that He had actually spoken this thing to me, and maybe that I was supposed to tell people and warn people. So, I just want you to think for a second: 66 ounces of gold, what that would be worth today? Okay, 66 times 4,200, it's somewhere around $300,000. So literally, what I bought for $20,000 25 years ago, I could sell for $300,000 today. That's how much the price of gold and silver have gone up over the past few years. And again, it's not because gold and silver are becoming worth so much more. It's because the dollar is becoming worth so much less. So if you look, right now we're in a currency, sovereign debt crisis is what they're calling it. We owe $38 trillion. The only way out, or outside of like austerity, which means like cutting back on all the programs and tightening our belt so far that we could actually pay it off, they're going to print. That's what they've been doing. They've been printing money. And every time they print dollars into existence, it makes the dollars in your wallet worth less. So that's why the price of gold and silver are hitting all-time highs right now. I think silver is at $52 an ounce approximately. Gold is at almost $4,200 an ounce. And this train only goes in one direction, guys. So again, what I want to talk to you today a little bit is why it's happening and how you can prepare, like how you can invest in it and how you can protect your purchasing power of your money. I had a conversation, I've had many conversations with my family about this because I've tried to warn them and tell them like, that this thing was coming. And, my mom would say things to me like, yeah, but we have our money invested in this portfolio, this stock or whatever, and it's very safe. We can't lose it. And I'm like, Mom, you're not getting it. You're not going to lose the money. And this is why most people, the person that's going to get hit the hardest is going to be the hardworking person who saved their money and they just trusted the government because they put their money in the bank, they worked hard for it, they saved it, and what happens is they print you into poverty. Your money, your cash, your fiat currency, they can print as much of it as they want. And for you, what that makes it is like an ice cube in the sun. It just sits there and it melts. How fast it melts, it depends on how much money they're printing. But right now it's melting at about 10% a year. So you're losing about 10% of your purchasing power every year. The only way to protect it is to put that money into assets, put that money into things that are going to rise in value at the rate of inflation, or maybe even better. So think about it. Why do you think gold and silver are at all-time highs? Why do you think that Bitcoin's at an all-time high? Why is real estate at an all-time high? Why is the stock market at an all-time high? Because they're printing you into poverty. The issue is that 90% of the population doesn't own any assets, right? So they just have money. They just go to work and they may have a savings. Maybe they don't even have a savings. But what happens is the cost of everything becomes more expensive. So that means you're working harder and you're not getting ahead. You're barely able to keep up. Some people, you see videos on TikTok about people that are like, look, I work, I got 2 part-time jobs and I still can't keep up. Like, yeah, that's what's going to happen as they continue to print. So going back, God gave me this prophetic word 25 years ago. At the time, gold was worth $300 an ounce. Silver was probably around $10 an ounce. And now gold is 15x and silver is probably 5x. And there's a lot more room to run because, again, this train only goes in one direction. So feel free to drop questions in the comments because I may be rambling a little bit. I may be a little bit all over the place, but I do want to talk to you about some of the videos that I've made over the years, and like, again, you say something like God told me, right? Like, it's very easy to sound crazy when you start talking about God gave you a vision for the future, right? He told you some piece of information about the future. You talk about prophecy. I get it. It doesn't change the fact that it happened. And if you go back and you watch my videos on this subject over the years, what you'll see is that I've been saying the same thing, and literally this thing has been on a rocket. Gold and silver has been on a rocket straight up. Some of you may not be able to relate to the whole God told me thing, but you can look around and you can see that there's something wrong in the economy, right? Like something's not right out there. you maybe you can see it when you sit down at a restaurant or when you go to the grocery store. Or you're like, you see the price of a house now, and you're like, wow, when did the average house become worth over $400,000? These things are all the fruit of the financial system and the crisis that we're basically in. So anyway, I think a lot of people, I think I did a study, a quick Google search the other day, and it said 46% of people in the United States don't even have 3 months savings. Like they don't even have a 3-month emergency fund. And, part of my motivation for making these videos, the few that I've made over the years, or the several that I've made, was to help somebody see it and go, you know what, he might be right. I need to prepare for this. Maybe they have some cash in the bank and they're like, they want to transfer it over because they're like, you know what, just as an insurance play, that's what I'm doing this video for. It's just to kind of sound the alarm and to say, I did what I could to get the word out and to warn people. But, what I want to talk about now is like some of the different ways that you can do this. Like do you buy gold? Do you buy silver? How do you buy it? Where do you keep it? There's a lot of different, nuances to this and things that I didn't know anything about when I started on this journey. So like gold obviously benefits to owning it. I mean, it's small. It holds a lot of value in a small amount of space. Silver is cheaper, it's poor man's gold. But it's going to take up a lot more space depending on how much money you have. You're going to need probably a safe. You're not going to be able to bury an ounce of silver in your backyard and have it make a difference. But you could do that with an ounce of gold. You could bury an ounce of gold, and in a year from now, it might be worth $10,000. A good way to store a lot of your money in a small place. Hard to travel with. Both of them are very hard to travel with. It's something I've thought a lot about. It's like, if shit really hits the fan in America, how do you get this stuff out of the country? That's a question, right? Like. So one of the things that one of the people I follow suggests is having it in different parts of the world, where you have it with storage facilities in different countries that you may need to make an escape to. Again, I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole. The purpose of this video is just to stress to you that there is a financial collapse coming in America, an economic collapse. The money in your wallet is going to become maybe not worthless, but it's going to become worth a lot less. And it's going to just, this whole thing that you've seen over the past few years is just going to accelerate to the point where at some point it's like a frog in the water boiling. The frog doesn't feel it right away, and they turn up the heat, and next thing you know, he's floating on the water. So one day people wake up, they're like, they don't really notice this whole printing agenda that they're doing, where they're printing money, they're printing us into poverty. And one day you look around and you see a $9 box of Lucky Charms when you go to the grocery store, and you're like, what the hell? When did Lucky Charms become so expensive? Like, that's what happens. One day you wake up and you're like, what the heck, right? You can't keep up anymore. So one of the objections that I wanted to talk about is, and I'm rambling a bit, so just excuse me, but stick with me. There's value in this video, I promise you. People will say things like, well, what are you going to do with silver? You can't eat silver. You can't eat gold. You can't buy groceries with gold. Well, no shit, Sherlock. But what you can do is, if you would have listened to me when I started making videos, and you would have taken a $20 bill just a few years ago. Literally, I bought silver for $22 an ounce the beginning of last year. So that was just a year and a half ago. And now it's $52 an ounce. So if I want to take that same ounce of silver that I paid $22 for 18 months ago, and I want to go into the silver dealer or the gold dealer, or I want to call a friend and say, hey, you want to buy a 1 ounce of gold or 1 ounce of silver? I'll sell it to them for $52. Now, would that $52 help you buy groceries a little bit better than $22? Of course it would, right? So what you do is, I'm not saying that you can buy groceries with the stuff. What you do is you hold it, and it protects your purchasing power until you need it. And then when you need it, you sell it, you get the more dollars, and then you go buy the thing with the dollars. Okay? That's what I'm saying. So sometimes people, I don't think they understand that. It can be a long-term hold, but what it does is it protects your purchasing power. What I was going to tell you this story with my mom. when she said she was invested in these different stocks that she said was safe. And she's like, we can't lose our money. And I'm like, Mom, you don't get it. You're not going to lose the money. You're going to have the money. It just isn't going to buy anything. And she still didn't really get it. And then one day she went to Olive Garden, and she called me. She's like, we went to Olive Garden last night. I couldn't believe how expensive everything was. And spaghetti and meatballs was like $20. And I was like, Mom, hold it right there. This is a perfect teaching opportunity for you. I said, you remember how I told you that you're not going to lose the money, but it's just not going to be able to buy anything anymore? And she was like, yeah. And I said, that's what I'm talking about. You're still going to have the dollars. They're not going to be worth what they used to be worth. So again, guys, my whole point in making this making this video is to stress to you that you have to take, if you have money in the bank, savers or losers. Okay, savers are going to be the one that get hit the hardest with this. You have to put some of that money into assets. I would suggest gold and silver because I know, I know it sounds crazy, but I know that is what God told me. He told me, put it in gold. And I think my record, if you look at my videos from the past few years, you're going to see that I've been talking about this economic collapse. And as I've been talking about it, gold has been going like this, straight up. Okay. And there's a lot longer to run. Now people might say, well, I don't want to buy it now because it's $4,000 an ounce. Listen, I get it. I mean, I don't want to either. I was buying it for, I bought an ounce of gold for $2,400 an ounce not that long ago. And now it's $4,000 an ounce, but this train only goes in one direction, guys. So all that being said, if you want, actually what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and put in the description of this video, and I'll put it as a link pinned to the top. I'm going to put my guy that I use to buy precious metals. It's a company called Monex. Very reputable. They ship it straight to your house, very secure. It's insured, everything completely legit. And if it's mention my name, you'll get a discount on the trading fees. So I'll provide that because a lot of times people have questions with how they go about it. Look, if you don't have a lot of money, like if you only have a little bit of money, just go to like a local gold or silver dealer, okay? Because you'll that's just your best bet. But if you have like more than a couple $1,000s to invest, I recommend buying it online because you'll save money in trading fees. So I'll provide that for you. But where do you store it? Some people often ask. Okay, again, you can home store. You can store it in your home. Maybe you have a safe. Maybe you have a hiding place. Maybe you have a place that you can put it. There's going to be risk with anything. Even if you give it to like a storage facility, number one, you have to pay for that. And number two, what happens if they go belly up or the government decides, hey, we're gonna seize everybody's gold, which happened, I think, one time in America before. So there are risks with it. I do think that there's value in having at least some of it that you can get your hands on quickly if you needed it. But yeah, there's different ways you can do it. So I don't want to advocate for any particular way, but with silver, one of my favorite things to buy is junk silver. So I don't know if y'all don't know what that is. It's basically gold. It's quarters, dimes, 50-cent pieces that were made prior to 1964. So prior to 1964, they used to actually make coins with real silver. And then starting, I think, in 1965, it was either 64 or 65 when they switched. They started making it with just normal metal. But if you buy the quarters, a gold, keep saying gold, a silver dime prior to 64 is worth probably about $3.50, $4 right now. So you can have, you can have a roll of those, whatever, $10 worth of those. So 100 of those, if they're $4 each, whatever that comes out to, $400, right? You could have a roll of silver dimes. And the reason that people like junk silver is because, number one, they're not making it anymore. They haven't made it anymore since 1964, so there's just going to be less and less over time. But also because it's easily recognizable. Like you can look at it and see the date and it was made by the U.S. government, and it's just, it's silver. And it's also in small increments. So imagine if the shit gets really bad, and this isn't what, God didn't tell me how bad it was going to get. But he did say economic collapse. That was the word I heard. That causes a global depression. So we may get to the point where we become a barter economy, because I've read a book about what happened in Argentina when the economy collapsed. And that's exactly what happened. They became a barter economy where they were trading. Hey, I'll give you these apples, and you give me, that shirt, or whatever. Or people were actually taking links off of jewelry, like a gold link off a chain, and one link, and they would give it to the grocer and buy some groceries. So the reason that I like junk silver is because it's small increments. So if you did ever have to trade something, number one, it's easy to buy, it's easy to sell because people know what it is. But it's also in small increments. If you had to unload an ounce of gold, and gold is $20,000 an ounce at a time, it might be hard to find a buyer. But with a dime, a silver dime that's worth $10 or $20, you can probably find, somebody that would be interested in buying it. So anyway, all that being said, I really like junk silver, and that's something that you can also buy from Monex, the company that I deal with. But any questions in the comments? Feel free to drop some. When I first started making these videos, I'm trying to remember when the first video I made. I think I made the first one during COVID, where it was the first time I publicly talked about the prophetic word that God gave me, because I just knew how weird it was going to come off, and I was like, I just didn't. I hadn't talked about it up until then. But in 2020, I believe, is when I first talked about metals, this economic collapse that was coming. And some people reached out to me. They actually DM'd me, and they're like, okay, yeah, I want to buy some. And I think I had about 4 or 5 people make fairly significant purchases online. And those people are up so far. I mean, I don't even know. Silver was probably in the teens at the time, and gold was, I think, under 2,000, if I remember correctly. And now, again, $4,200. So if they bought, 5-10 ounces of gold or whatever of silver, think about, they doubled their investment in like that in just a few years. So again, what I want to stress to you guys is, like, this isn't the top. This thing hit an all-time high, yes, but what you're going to see, and you mark my words and you see if I'm right, that it continues to break new records over the next few years. I wouldn't be surprised if it hits $5,000 or $6,000 by the end of the year. Gold, silver, I think it could hit $100 or maybe even $200 an ounce by the end of next year. So you're not at the top, but if you hold cash, you're guaranteed to lose. That's what I told my wife when we started investing. What we had, we said she's not as risk tolerant as I am, and I said, listen, if we hold the money, we're guaranteed to lose. If we invest, we might lose, but we're guaranteed to lose if we don't invest. And then, we did, and fortunately it's worked out for us. So this is the whole purpose of this. And I know I was all over the place in this video, and maybe I'll make some more videos about this, but 100%, I'm staking my reputation on this, that the economy is going to collapse in America. It's going to cause a global depression, and the gold and silver is going to continue to rise in value as they print more money. It's simple math. So my word for you is to prepare. How you do that, it's up to you. I recommend having a food pantry, having some groceries at your house. I know it sounds crazy, probably to some people. Have 6 months of groceries, canned goods in your basement, dry goods. Why not? You can always eat it. Have some gold and silver. Don't have all your money in fiat currency. Don't have it all in cash. If there's a bank run and they lock the banks up, I mean, it's happened. Here's what's crazy is nobody thinks it could ever happen to us, because none of us have lived through anything like this. So everybody in America, when I talk about this, I think they just think, what is Rob talking about? He's crazy, whatever. I don't know what people think, to be honest, but people think it can't happen because it's never happened before. But if you go back 100 years ago, it happened. And if you go back thousands of years ago, it's happened over and over. There's not been a single fiat currency that's ever stood the test of time. It always fails 100% of the time. So it's just not a matter of if, it's only a matter of when, and will you be prepared when it does. So let me just go through the comments real quick and see if there's anything in here for me to address before I jump off. Gold is the tool of the devil. It wasn't God, it was the devil. No, gold is God's money, buddy. God created gold, and you can't. And the thing is, what's Satan's money is money, is fiat currency. Why? Because they think about this. If you're a hardworking individual, you go to work, you make your money, and you put it in the bank and you save it, and these corrupt politicians print you into poverty. That is Satan's money. That is Satan's system. His financial system is this fiat system because it punishes hardworking, like the honest, good people, because we trust the government. We think, well, everything's going to work out. Let me just save my money. They've actually forced people like you and me to become professional investors. We have to be like, we have to learn this shit, and we have to know how to invest just to protect the money that we worked for. It's kind of evil, when you think about it. All investing is a bit of a gamble. So if you really want to look at it, is that the government or the whoever controls the money system, they've kind of forced us all to be gamblers because we have to take a risk with the money that we worked for just in order to keep the purchasing power. So I think you're a little bit off on that, buddy. Somebody said it's going 3,000. Or, yeah, bubble. That camera angle is diabolical. Got some characters on here today. Rob, you working on having some kids? Yes. As a matter of fact, I am, and I have some news for you guys soon, but not yet. Gold and silver is God's money. Yes, Jesus is coming. That's your username. You're 100%. Gold and silver is God's money. He put it in the earth. You can't print it, and you can't print gold and silver. They can't make gold and silver. You can only extract so much gold and silver out of the earth every year. It costs money to extract that gold and silver. That's why it's God's money. Okay, it's actually in the Constitution that gold and silver are the only things to be used as money, but they changed it. That's where the Fed came from, who's not even a government institution. I'm not the smartest person when it comes to all that, but I know that it's corrupt, and the only way to protect yourself is to take some of the money out of that system and transfer it into real money, sound money. Why do they call it sound money? If you've ever clicked two pieces of gold together or two pieces of silver, it has a certain frequency to it. It makes a certain sound. That's why they call it sound money. So you have to take some of that cash, which is trash, and you have to put it into God's money, which is gold and silver. So again, if you want to know how to do this, I'll put my guy's number in the description of this video, and then I'll pin it to the top. His name is Derek Soulakis or Soulakis. I don't know if I pronounced that last name right, but he's a good dude, and they ship it right to your house, and I've never had any problems. Or you know what? You can email me. Actually, if you're unsure about anything, you have any questions, drop me an email, or you can post in the comment here. If you don't feel comfortable asking here, I'll provide my email in that description. You can email me, and maybe I'll do another video about this, because this is a very important topic, because the people that aren't prepared are going to be hit the hardest. They're going to be, they're going to be hit the hardest. So, okay. How do you invest in gold like you? So you can, like I said, you go back and watch the video. I think I already addressed that. You can find gold, silver shops, Adam said, correct. What about Bitcoin? Good question. So I like Bitcoin. I mean, they say gold, Bitcoin is, digital gold, right? And there's only going to be 21 million of them. So I think that is, I don't think it replaces gold, because gold is tangible. It actually has real world value. It's always been worth something. It's never gone to zero. They use silver right now to make the batteries in electric vehicles and weapons and all kinds of things. So they need silver to make things. So it's going to be, it's just going to continue to rise in value. So will Bitcoin? Probably. Honestly, I like Bitcoin. I just would only have a small percentage of my portfolio in Bitcoin if I were you. And honestly, I just listen to people that are smarter than me regarding all that. If you guys want a great channel, a guy that's really helped me, his name is Joe Brown, and he has a YouTube channel called Heresy Financial. Christian guy, super smart. I mean, he's so good. He's great, and I don't get anything for referring you. Actually, I do have a 35% off code for his courses. So if anybody decides that they want to take one of Joe's courses, find a way to get a hold of me. Use my email, and I'll send you the code. I don't get anything for referring you, I don't think. I know there's no referral fee, but he's that good. I'll just do it as a way to help you out. But J-Dog, thank you for that. He gave me a $1.99 super chat. Super appreciate that. Thank you. He said, thanks for the advice. You got it. Get your mind out of the gutter, Natalia. What happened? What did I miss? Christopher Cock. Hey, brother. What's up, man? Long time. Rob, when you have children, make sure you have at least 3 boys. Well, maybe. We'll see. We'll let God determine that. What are your thoughts on ETFs in the stock market? Good question, Dope Wall. I listen to what Joe says, to be honest. I signed up for some of his courses, and I listen to what he says, and he believes in the stock market. As he said that assets are going to continue to rise as they print more money. So, real estate right now might come down temporarily because we did have that big bubble. But all of it over time is going to go up because as they print more money, the money has to go somewhere, right? And it flows into assets. Again, the problem with that is only a small percentage of the population owns assets, so the everyday working man gets crushed because the cost of everything goes up and he doesn't have any assets. So he just has to work harder to pay the same bills, right? So, I like stocks. It just depends on the ones that you're investing in, but he makes it super easy. I mean, to be honest, one of his courses was a couple $1,000s, and me and my wife were like, whoa, like, do we really want to, spend that kind of money to hire someone to tell us how to invest? And it was the best decision I ever made. So I recommend it. He's a very smart dude, and he's very accurate. But no, I like stocks. But for a lot of people that are watching this, they've never invested before. Like, I got my start in investing by just gold and silver because of what God told me, for sure. But it's just an easy way to trade. It's not on an exchange, it can be. I'm not telling you to buy GLD or like a gold stock or a gold ETF. I'm telling you, like, go buy some physical gold and silver and hide it, put it somewhere if you're just getting started. Or you can put it in one of these services that store it, and they might charge you, $100 a year to keep it in a safe somewhere. And I think that that's better than just having money, like a balance on an exchange, like digital, like you see a number on your screen, but something goes wrong and whatever. I mean, anything could happen. The exchanges go down all the time. But if you're just getting started, I would recommend I'd recommend picking up silver, because I think silver's got a lot further to run. I do think gold one day will be $20,000 an ounce. I do. So it's going to be a 5X. But silver may be, 200 in the near term. It could be thousands in the long term. Some people believe that silver will be worth more than gold one day, which would be wild. So if I were just getting started, depending on how much money, I'd maybe do a blend, because they both have different purposes. Both of them have their own unique benefits. But, if I had, let's say, $10,000 to invest, I would probably buy an ounce or two of gold and, several ounces of silver, and then I would figure out where I was going to hold it, where I was going to store it. That's what I would do. So hopefully that answers your question. Yeah, I firmly believe both are going to go up. Like this, again, guys, this isn't the end. This train goes one direction only, right? They owe $38 trillion in debt. There's going to be a default at some point, but until they're going to print until they can't print anymore. And as they print, everything is going to rise in value. So right now you're hearing, oh, it's only a 3% inflation. Bullshit. It's 3% inflation. What do you know that's going up 3% a year? Nothing. I mean, you go out to eat, you go to the grocery store, you see the price of everything has grown, exponentially. So again, the train goes in one direction, guys. So again, I like silver more because I think it's got a lot more room to run. It hasn't really made its big move. It may have like doubled or 2.5x'd in the last, year and a half. But gold has, over the course of 25 years, it's 15x'd. It went from 300 to 4,200. So like it's made a big run. It still is going to go up. But I would, if I was going to put more money into one or the other, I would make the bet on silver, I think. So that's just my personal opinion, but I know some people will disagree. Actually, Joe Brown, the guy I just was talking about, he recommends that you keep 20% of your money in gold. He doesn't bet on silver. He thinks it's too volatile. He thinks gold has been so consistent over the years. It's held its purchasing power. If you look at what an ounce of gold bought you, in Jesus' time, for example, like they say a Roman centurion, if you look what a Roman centurion was paid 2,000 years ago in gold, it's exactly to what an Army general is paid today. So it's like, it's been so consistent. It's just held its purchasing power through the years. So that's why, people recommend it. But again, going back, I'm 100% sure that God told me this shit is coming. So prepare. Do I have many polygamous friends? I ask this because the lifestyle is so countercultural for most people. Sorry, guys, my battery's getting ready to die. I'm down to 7%. To answer your question, Adam, no, not many. I know most of my friends that share this belief are online. I do have a dream to one day start a community, buy some land somewhere and see if people want to move into the area and maybe even get a church off the ground. That's kind of a dream. I don't know if God will open that door, but that's what I would love to do. A good wife, I would go back and look at Proverbs 31, dope ball. You can make a real good list from Proverbs 31 of what a good wife is. We actually have an exercise in the coaching program where we have guys write down their perfect girl. And then there is no perfect girl, I get that. But they write down their perfect girl, and then they have their top three. The top three is their non-negotiable. So they actually put it in priority order, the order of priorities, and their top three are their non-negotiable. So this way, when you meet women, you can just really quickly tell if it's a yes or it's a no, or at least a maybe. But that's something that we do. So actually, with that being said, we do have a 7-day free trial in the Man of Options program. So we have about 24 guys in there right now that believe in biblical marriage. And part of the course is financial, right? You have to have the money to be able to support a family. So we go over a lot of these things about how to prepare for the future. So if you want to start a free trial in the Man of Options coaching program, we actually have a call this Thursday, a group call. Go to manofoptions.com, start a 7-day free trial. Come in, check it out, check the course out, kick the tires, meet the guys. If you like it, stay. All right. I'll do another one of these videos, so feel free, if you're watching the replay, to post your questions in the comments, and maybe I'll make a list and I'll go through one by one. But look for that link. If anybody's serious about pulling the trigger on this, I'll provide a way to do that. And reach out to Derek, and you'll thank me later. Talk to you guys later.